Well, good morning, good afternoon. How are you doing today? My name is Tri Win. I'm here at Zyxel, bringing you Tech Talk with Zyxel with our new partner introduction. It would just maybe a quick raise of hands to show that you can hear me fine. I'm not too loud, not too soft. Thank you, Chris, David. We have Martin in here as well. Welcome, everybody. So today we wanted to cover, our product lines and give you a refresher on that. If you are new to Zyxel, this will give you a great overview of what we have to offer and a lot of maybe the key solutions that what Zyxel brings to the table as a networking solutions provider of hardware. Now, just to kick it off just right from the beginning, I know some of you may have already gotten some news about there's been articles out there for our security appliances that have talked about some vulnerabilities that are out there. Just to let you know that those patches and those fixes are already been available since about this in the middle of December, just before the Christmas timeframe. So if anybody had upgraded to the 4.60 firmware, you are now patched for it if you've done it within the last, let's say, week or two. So make sure you go to that. If you have product that using our firewall securities that have been before, let's say 4.60, if you've never upgraded to 4.60, you were never vulnerable. It was something that came into play when we first released that 4.60. That was removed from being able to be found and be uploaded to your products automatically through the upgrade. So just make sure you're on the patch 4.60 patch 1 if you want to get to 4.60. If you run the automatic update, it will already take care of that for you. So just be sure that you're just updated with the latest firmware if you want to get to the newest patches there. So let's go ahead and just jump right in to what Zyxel has to offer. A little bit about who we are as a company. Well, Zyxel is a company that's been around for 30 years. We were established in 1989. So actually, I guess this is 32 years now with our networking experience. 100 million devices making global connections worldwide. We have 600 employees here at Zyxel Networks, serving 150 markets with over 700,000 businesses working smarter with Zyxel solutions. So really, we're not just an overnight kind of customer or a partner or a vendor, but we've been here quite a long time doing networking. If you've been here with us for a long time, thank you for being a partner with us. We continue to look forward to working with you. We are internationally recognized for our innovation and our design. Continuing to bring in awards, and we've been also, this needs to be updated as well, but we've been nominated for some recent awards in that will be published pretty soon. So we're excited about what we can bring to the table, bring to the solution. We've been ICSA certified for over 20 years continuously. We're only one of 5 vendors or so that have this kind of establishment in this longevity of certification with ICSA labs. They are a certification and testing arm to make sure that security, make sure that functionalities are interoperable with other products and other devices. We are solutions driven by what you as partners and what your clients and what your customers need, because we have our own R&D resources. We have our R&D teams in both in our headquarters in Taiwan and also in Germany and in California and San Jose area. We look to deliver solutions to your customers by providing all the feedback that you give us to be considered into products. So whether it be the existing products or into full solutions or into maybe future products, we love to hear from you and work with you on how to bring those kinds of solutions, how to make your life as either a service provider or a managed service provider or as just maybe an installer, how do we make your job easier by features or functions that we add to our products. And of course, how do we protect, how do we make things more secure, how do we make things more available to your customer base. So we encompass the entire solution, a comprehensive portfolio end to end. What if you are a new partner? One thing, if you don't take anything else away from this webinar today, the one thing I want you to take away is if there's anything that has to do with a network, whether it be wired, wireless, fiber, some sort of connectivity with a network, just think of Zyxel. Maybe what does Zyxel have? Because we pretty much have a lot of the entire solution, what you may need in there. So today I'm even going to be covering things that are, I'm covering things that we are typical in a network, but we have a lot of atypical things too that I'm not going to cover today. Things like fiber connectivity and all that. But secure appliances, network security, threat management, VPN, SD-WAN solutions, wireless solutions that give you Wi-Fi 6 connectivity, unmanaged in the cloud, LAN connectivity for your core network, both with PoE, 10 gig, even multi-gig now with higher end PoE plus plus 60-watt PoE capable, gateway access solutions for like your hotspot, maybe your hotel, those kinds of terms of service pages and authentication for guest networks, and network management, both in a standalone, if you want to use command line, if you want to use a cloud solution. Zyxel has solutions again for all of those things. So really a comprehensive portfolio. That's kind of just a high level of what Zyxel does. So again, remember, what would Zyxel have that can help me with my network deployments? So first off on the table is network security. Of course, again, like I mentioned earlier, if you're on the latest patches that have been available in the last 2 weeks for 4.60 for your security appliances, then you do not have any issues with any kind of vulnerabilities that are known right now. So anything that you've seen in the news just over the past weekend, we had already addressed it in terms of a firmware fix back in December timeframe, and a lot of the information and notifications had gone out to those in our MyZyxel page company, or MyZyxel side. So you can find the firmware online through your MyZyxel or through your device. You can do an auto update of the cloud. But if you never had upgraded to 4.60, you were never vulnerable with that vulnerability that showed up. It was just in the implementation of the latest 4.60 new features that we added that had some of that issue in there. We are looking to protect your business and making it more cost effective, making it more more economical, and also without sacrificing security, as best as possible. We want to be able to provide protection, because a lot of small businesses out there really think that they are too small for any kind of cyber attack, but 54% of them actually think that it's only for the big guys, big companies are the only ones that are affected. 47% of small businesses have no understanding on how to protect themselves against cyber attacks. So that means that's where partners and VARs and installers and managed service providers like yourself bring the expertise into that network to secure it, to make sure that they have the appropriate security within the wired network, within the wireless network, as well as in the firewall threat protection side of things. So a lot of them is, again, bringing to that network your expertise. 60% of small businesses that are victims of cyber attacks go out of business within 6 months. A lot of times it's hard to recover if you've lost a lot of either data or information, or even trying to get servers and things back online or fixed, or the cost of getting all that fixed could really drive and put pressure on some of these small businesses. So that's a pretty interesting stat. Now, 43% of breach victims are small businesses. So even though they don't think they are, quite a bit of them are part of the major attacks, and 424% increase in small business cyber attack breaches last year. So again, it's constantly, I always tell people, we are all under the same internet. Whether you're at home or at business or business from home, you are behind the same internet that every other company out there on the internet is behind. And so, yes, maybe they may have a bigger footprint and may have some people who are directly attacking them, but a lot of the attacks are very much, zombies, or people just searching for, or devices that are searching for valid hosts that they can potentially try to breach. Every 39 seconds, there is a hacker attack, and 54% of small businesses don't have a plan in place how to recover or how to react to a cyber attack. So really, it's just a matter of time. Most people say it won't happen to me, and either that or I'm not on their radar. So it's really, again, a matter of time. Oh, I just forgot to mention as well, if you have any questions, please feel free to use either the chat, or you can use the Q&A section, and I will try to answer those in line as well. So most people don't think about security, and so they're like, well, they are most of the time reactive. You may end up getting a lot of customers who called like, I have been attacked by ransomware, been attacked by all these things, or I have certain security issues that have come to light. how can I fix it, right? A lot of people are in that kind of boat. They don't think it's happening to them. So that's where you as partners being able to educate, be able to talk to your customers why they need this kind of protection, and to not only give them the protection, but actually show them how it works and how it actually is protecting them. More applications, people are using the cloud for applications, more devices are getting connected, their needs for higher bandwidth. Of course, the sacrifice in most cases is that the more devices, the more speed you need, the more capacity of security functionalities you need on the device itself. So it puts a lot of pressure on that. Every user, you and I, probably the same way, probably have at least 2 or 3 or 4 different devices that are connected to the network, providing you video, voice, data applications. You may even have servers and network PCs, printers, and things like that as well. And now with higher speed internet connectivity that is booming, we have a lot of partners who are just in the service provider side, providing internet connectivity, people working from home, people working from remote. It is causing a big growth in people's connectivity, realizing, hey, my home connection is not as good for download, upload, so I want to get that upgraded. And so they're jumping on a higher speed bandwidth. And that puts pressure on the business side as well. You're trying to make these VPN connections, and that's causing you to have a bigger pipe as well. But then you need a bigger pipe, means then you need, in order to continue your security, you need to have a bigger device, or you're going to be putting pressure on your firewall gateway to be able to handle all that speed. And of course, it's now easy to test. You could just go to speedtest.net and just do a quick test to find out what your bandwidth is. And if your speed through your firewall is much lower than what your expected throughput on your internet connection, that's going to raise flags. That's going to cause you headaches on how to try to figure it out, how to provide them still speed, yet still maintain security. So we have solutions that provide that, providing antivirus, content filtering, layer 7 intelligence, also GeoIP, even enforcement of different IP addresses coming to your network. Antivirus blocks against like malware. It provides very fast scanning in real-time protection with no size limitations. Content filtering is a solution if you have customers who say, hey, I want to block specific websites, content, or even types of sites like social media, or even search pages, or those kinds of things, and inappropriate websites. You can block based on categories, and it's dynamic, and it's controlled by a service there. Layer 7 scanning gives you the ability to block things like peer-to-peer access, being able to actually see the packets themselves and what applications they're used for, and also gives you control on the logging to see how the utilization is being done, and also how what devices or what solutions you want to block or allow during certain times. So you can literally say, hey, I want you to be able to use Pandora outside of business hours, but within business hours, we're blocking Pandora. The only way to do that is to use layer 7 scanning intelligence, blocking by applications. We also have solutions that provide sandbox and machine learning in order to detect zero-day type attacks, new viruses that are unknown, and maybe no signatures are available. We're able to put that in the sandbox and find that out. Things to block like botnet, malware blockers, and also intrusion detections and reputation filters. Those are all encompassed within these different solutions that we have. And I want you to introduce, if you're not already on board with our USG series or not using our products there yet, our USG Flex is our flexible, small business line, probably the most often product that you'll be selling from a security standpoint. USG Flex is the replacement of our USG series, providing higher bandwidth, higher abilities, and also higher throughput with full UTM functionalities. It comes in several flavors. We just launched also a USG Flex 100W in here as well, but it really just goes by maybe the speed, performance. So when you go to and look at a product, when you're trying to deploy a firewall solution, you want to look at the customer's bandwidth capability. So let's say they have a 100 meg connection. What you want to do is, when you look at the data sheet for these products, is look at whether or not they want UTM. UTM is Unified Threat Management. It's all of the security scanning functionalities, the deep inspections, all of that. So if they want deep inspection, you want to look at that UTM number. So the UTM number, let me get my laser pen out here. The UTM number here is what you want to look at, and take about 50% of that number and that's kind of like your real world throughput number. In some cases, it's a lot higher than that when you actually do a speed test, but it kind of gives you a gauge of which model to use at which, in which scenario, which situation. And that gives you kind of a good gauge on how it's performing so that you don't overtax the device and get maybe less than your expected throughput. Now, if you are not using any of the UTM, if you're just buying this product, the USG Flex in a hardware only mode, you're doing VPN, you're doing just SPI firewall functionalities, then you can look at actually just the throughput of the SPI. But for what I tell partners, there's a lot of times where customers think they only need the SPI, and eventually one day they're like, hey, I want to turn on malware protection. I want to protect against ransomware. Then all of a sudden you have to look at the UTM number. And if you've spec'd out and you've kind of went as small as possible, and you standardized on this one, and then find out later their 500 meg connection would have needed something bigger in order to handle that throughput, you just have to keep that in mind. And when you're speccing things out, just so you have that future proof if you need to. But really, it's all about scale on the products. Now, if you want to go even higher, we do have our ATP series as well, which I will talk about in just a minute. And again, all of these products are ICSA certified for the last 20 years straight. We are working with some of the leading security specialists like McAfee, Webroot, Lastline, Trend Micro, Bitdefender on providing the different solutions in there. We've integrated their signatures or integrated their engines excuse me, on how to get into and how to implement it within our firewalls to provide you the best possible scenarios for UTM. We also have a new functionality in our USGs called Express Mode. And Express Mode can significantly increase the improvement performance of UTM by leveraging the cloud and AI within the cloud to doing the scanning. So any of our USGs pretty much and our ATPs can do that. You can do both the deep scan mode plus the cloud query express mode. Hybrid mode is reserved for our ATP series. That means it actually has the ability to do both your traditional deep scan, signature-based scanning, and also cloud-based scanning at the same time. So if you're looking for higher, deeper security, that's where you want to go with our ATP series. And really, it's hash matching over the cloud. If the file is passing through the device, it sees its checksum. It checks the hash on the cloud. Is it a known file? If that file is new or not, or if it's malware, or if it's already been deemed something malicious, then it will block it. Now, of course, the disadvantages is that you have to have it in an internet connectivity environment. You can't use it entirely offline, but it still comes with deep scan mode, so you can switch between them if you need to. If you're in offline, you can just have the signature step download, and it provides an offline protection, but it's limited by what is available in the signatures. If you have it connected back to the cloud, then of course it will update to the latest signatures that are of the latest threats. And so the hybrid mode in the ATP gives you best level protection, but it does cost more because of the hardware is more for the performance that you're looking for. We provide some security services that are very flexible. We want to make it easy for you to transition. Now, I guess by a show of hands, just real quick, how many of you have already been using our USG series, not our USG Flex, but our previous kind of generation USG, our next generation USGs. So you may have customers that are already out there who have deployed USGs, or you've been deploying USGs for years now. And we want you to know that you can migrate those customers. You don't have to wait till the end of their contract or the end of their year to get them to upgrade. If they already have a need to upgrade because of hardware, capacities, or they have increased their internet speeds and need to find a higher performing hardware, you can easily upgrade them to the USG Flex and get advantage of that. What we've done is we've allowed for you to migrate your services really easily through our portal. Let's say, for example, in this case, you have a customer, and in a very extreme case where they have 7 months left on their content filtering, 2 months left on their malware, because they bought it, everything was a la carte. So they have a range of different months when things expire. So rather than worrying about that, what we've done is when you decide to upgrade to a USG Flex, you're able to migrate all those services over to your new USG Flex model. And what we do is we actually normalize it, and we extend the services for free to the greatest remaining period. So the longest remaining period here in this case was 7 months. So there was 7 months left in the content filtering. So we increased every other services to normalize them all with 7 months left. And so therefore, once you've upgraded to the new USG Flex, that new USG Flex will have 7 months of service. Now, you can also buy a USG Flex that has a year's license already there. So if you buy a bundled version of the USG Flex, what we'll do is we'll take that 7 months and we'll just add it to the existing 12 months when you buy the bundle. So now this customer now has they've upgraded, they have 19 months worth of services. So again, they don't waste any of the services that they currently have on their existing USG and be able to transfer all of that and get some benefit at the same time, potentially, to the new USG Flex. And so the models that we've migrated through, you can see here on this chart. The USG 40s will migrate to the USG Flex 100s. USG 60s series will go to the 200s. The 110s will go to the 500s as well as the 210s. And USG 300 will go to our newly released USG Flex 700 as well. Now, the thing to note is that in these USG Flex 100, 200, we've also named them on the belly label and also in our documentation, our descriptions and also online descriptions to include the fact that they are a USG 40 V2. We actually got them certified so that it makes it easier for you to transition if you are used to the USG, a 40 naming convention, and also to convince your customer, hey, if you already have a USG 40, you want to go to the new USG Flex, we have a USG 40 V2, which is the Flex 100. And so that will help you in not having to, educate your customers necessarily that says, hey, you're going to a brand new model. It is a brand new model, but from the relationship, it's just your USG 40 in a new format, right? So that makes it easier for you to bridge the gap to your customers for this migration. And you want to be able to use, if you don't already have a firewall installed, you need to go to myzyxel.com and register either an account or a device there, because that's where you control all of your licenses. Now, if you're a reseller, make sure at the top there is a button, a link or button at the very top once you've logged in that says request reseller view. That allows for you to request to us to give you special access to a kind of a format of that page that lets you do reporting of expired products or devices. Also be able to choose yourself if you have your partners or your customers having their own MyZyxel account for their devices. You can choose you as the VAR that manages their devices from a licensing standpoint. Then you get to see their expiration dates. You get to actually add licenses to that device from your login. So that allows for you to manage those through that. And also it gives you access to Marketplace as well. Marketplace right now is an online buying of the licenses, and you could buy that. So make sure you get added to Marketplace with the reseller view, because then we load in your discounts. So then when you're buying licenses, when you are using that to activate license services for devices, it's showing at your partner discount. So make sure you request for that. If you don't know, go ahead and talk to your sales rep here at Zyxel, and we'll be glad to help you on how to get that done. And we are working on a partner-facing system, an integration that will give you a portal for something like Marketplace, but gives you more of a VAR partner, a reseller view. So we're working on that. It's going to be in beta pretty soon here now. So if you are interested in that, also reach out to your sales rep. We can put you on the beta so that you can kind of test out the system, test out how it works, and be able to even start using it already. You can buy licenses that are discounted in the marketplace. So again, make sure that you are loaded with that. In myzyxel.com for right now, if you want to use and buy licenses that are separate, like license keys themselves, or for one-time purchase things like VPN software licenses or SSL VPN licenses, those you have to buy using a coupon in the Marketplace Express. So we have, again, information for you. If you want to talk to our sales reps, they can get you that information on how to buy those licenses, or you can still buy them through your distribution channels as well. All of the licenses that are available for these products are available there if you have if you want to buy it that way as well. We are also AWS and Microsoft Azure certified. We're one of the few brands, one of 7 brands in the world that has certification in both cloud systems. So we are supported there for both models. David asks, are you going to touch on USG migrations to NSG devices? So with USGs to NSGs, NSGs will eventually be, I would say, migrated. NSGs will migrate to the USG Flex. USG Flex actually is going to get, end of this quarter, access to the Nebula platform. So you'll be able to use USG Flexes in Nebula, just like the NSG. So, and they will be, from the model naming convention, we will, once we get to that point, we'll let you know which NSG is kind of equivalent to, which USG Flex. But if you already are speccing it out now, a USG, NSG 100 is similar to I would say the NSG 50 or even NSG 100 as well. So it's within that range. It's just, you just need to spec it out as you would normally. And the feature sets functions are what you'll see in the NSGs when that happens for the USG Flex. And you'll be able to switch from both, standalone. And then if you decide to flip it over to the cloud, then it inherits those cloud functionalities. So our portfolio for the USG series, that's what we currently have. And these are getting migrated to the USG Flex. So I just kind of give you a high overview of that. Some of these are already starting to sell out of, and so those won't be refreshed. So we'll be pushing you over to the USG Flex. We'll still be supporting the product from a firmware standpoint, from a licensing standpoint. So there shouldn't be any problems with that within the warranty periods. ATP Firewall series is our highest end, our flagship, our high performance ATP hardware with sandboxing. So if you have a need for sandboxing and 0-day type of protections, you want that level of protection, then the ATP series is to go. And the numbering of the ATP series will be similar to the USG Flex. So you have an ATP 100 that is in the same kind of hardware space as the USG Flex 100. And then so it's just a matter of you finding which segment you need to be in, what performance level, and either if you need sandboxing, you go up to ATP. If you don't, then you stay with the USG Flex. But the ATP goes beyond the conventional. It goes beyond your normal UTM performance checking. So normal conventional UTM, you have to use a signature base. You look at things and you can identify if they are good, if they are bad. But there's a lot of gray area in between that can't be identified. Otherwise, it will just pretty much block everything. So we use sandboxing and artificial intelligence in the cloud to manage that. So what the ATP brings is that it conquers unknown security threats by being able to upload information, files, or behavior informations to the cloud for analysis. So then that way, signatures of something that might be unknown could be made on the fly in the cloud and provided to other devices for future protection. So unknown files are isolated, they're sandboxing, using a sandboxing technology. That's what a lot of the solutions out there right now is using for smart cloud intelligence, using a whole ecosystem that employs the machine learning to grow and to learn about these new attacks or these new threats and be able to disseminate that information very quickly and automatically to the rest of the world. Now, the cool thing is that it is not just you that's being protected, but once anything that is found within our ecosystem, everybody in that ecosystem will then have that immunity, I guess, to the to whoever that threat is. So how it works is we see an unknown threat that might come in. Maybe it's a zip file. It gets sent into the cloud, which then goes into a sandbox, which gets emulated. We see if there's any kind of behaviors or patterns, packets. We contain all that information, and then we identify if it's a malicious attack. If it's an attack, we will send in that information to the defense intelligence and then create an updated signature database information that is then provided to everybody else in the world that uses our ecosystem in our device. So really, it's a great way to get that best kind of protection possible. ATP 100Ws, those are available now. ATP 200, again, it's really much the scale of the performance that you want to spec in for. We have the ATP 500, 700, and also the 800 that can handle up to 1200 megabits per second max throughput. So these is probably ideal for something that is like 600 megs to maybe 800 meg connections and being able to do UTM. We currently don't have anything that can produce full UTM at full gigabit speeds. That is something that we are working on, but it's very costly to get kind of the chipsets and the performance you need to do that kind of security level on the highest end, on those high ends. We also have solutions called Secu Reporter. It is a cloud-based reporter if you're using a non-cloud solution, or if you're using the product in a standalone and you want some sort of centralized reporting. This is a great tool. I had mentioned earlier, how do we tell partners, or how do you tell your customers the value of security services or security solutions? Secu Reporter is the way that you do that. It leverages the cloud to get all the comprehensive information from all of the devices that you're managing, and be able to even do, monthly reports, graphical customized reports that you can send to your customers in a PDF format, and will show things like top 10 users, all the websites that your employees, or what sites are being visited from your network, what kind of security attacks that have been happened, what have we blocked, provide what bandwidth utilization is there, seeing the threat, all that threat information. So you can see that. Also gives you threat alerts through the cloud. So if there are certain activities that you have flagged for alerting, it can send that information to you as well. So it's really kind of an all-inclusive kind of monitoring tool, and gives you a clear picture of what's happening. And again, once a customer sees that and sees, wow, I'm getting monthly reports, they see then the value of why they're paying for and using security services for that. So again, if you're looking at becoming like a managed service provider, that's a really helpful tool that lets you do that. Now, moving into the cloud side of things, we do offer a full comprehensive cloud solution. Let's see. Martin asks, can we see the Secu Reporter details like John accessing like eBay website at 10:30 a.m.? You could then drill in, depending on what you're logging, you're able to find more of that information, because all that information is collated in the cloud. Now, in the reporting, you may not get that. The report typically is a summarization of that, but anything that's logged, if you turn on the logging, it's going to end up in Secu Reporter. So you'll be able to see the traffics and things like that within those logs, and be able to capture all that information. So you should be able to see that information there. But of course, you have to remember there is a drawback. The more logs you're adding, that means the more traffic you're going to be sending off to Secu Reporter, the bigger the log files are going to be there. And so you just kind of have to manage what you really want to know and how often, rather than having just the major information that are there. So Nebula is our cloud solution, providing a complete network solution for managed IT services. So if you're looking for a free network management tool, Nebula is there as well. We have an entire solution that lets you set up without even unboxing. So you're looking for a solution that has zero provisioning, or sorry, not zero provisioning, for contactless provisioning or auto provisioning services. This is the solution for you. You can literally scan the device, scan the appliance, scan the box even for the QR code, and tell it to load it into your Nebula account. And it's then tied into your account, which then you can configure within the cloud. You can even have pre-configured it in the cloud for a certain site. And once you've added the devices, you're ready to go, and you're able to get it set up within minutes. Because once that device is able to get internet connectivity, it's then able to get the firmware, the configurations, downloaded to it, and ready to go. Dave, you said you had two related questions. Yeah, feel free to send them when you get a chance there. With this solution, it even gives you the ability to do things like cookie cutter sites. So you can configure and test, let's say, a doctor's office or a dental office, and you have a security appliance, a switch, an access point, and it's configured for both private networks, public network, however you've configured that for the hotspot. You've tested it, you've secured it. Now you have a site that you can clone. Now cloning is part of our professional grade, so it doesn't come as part of the free Nebula, but it gives you the ability though now to say, hey, I now signed up another dental office, and it has a very similar network. So you can just clone this template site to that new site, change the configurations, change some of the IDs, and now it's ready to go. So when you then scan some devices to provision to that site, they will inherit those configurations and those settings there. So again, you can be up in minutes. You can even do it contactless. And especially in this day and age, in our contact installation world, you can literally just either mail the device to the customer, or you can just even drop it off at their porch, and just the information there, how to connect it is connect the firewall to your modem or to your WAN connection, plug your switch into port 1 on the firewall, plug the access point into port 1 on the switch, something like that, for example. And they can be up and running. You can then even outside be doing some configurations, or again, if it's already pre-configured in the NOC. You don't need any additional software. You don't need any additional hardware to use it in the cloud. It's all encompassed within the device itself. Dave asks, is there a way to integrate networks to see devices if devices are added? Like if they're added to the network, I'd have to check to see if they have that ability. And you mean to like for notifications? Because if you do add to an integrated network already, you can inherit within Nebula the device configurations of that. So like say, for example, you already have access points configured in the cloud environment for that customer, and you're looking to add an additional access point, you could add it and say it's part of that group, and which then it will automatically inherit the SSIDs, the configurations for that network. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what I think. That's how you can integrate it in. Question number 2 was, is there a way to generate reports for customers? Yes, so that's part of that SecU reporter. It lets you do those reports monthly, and you can then configure on how it gets delivered, whether I think if it's emails or you want it to, email it to you first. And if you want to doctor something or make some maybe updates or whatever it is to add to it before you deliver to your customer, you can do that as well. But you can customize those reports so it can put your logo in there and make it look like really it's coming from you as a monthly report. So you don't need any additional software, and of course, because it's in the cloud, you can manage it anywhere. So as long as you have internet connectivity, a mobile device, we have our apps, we have our web interface there, you can connect to our Nebula Control Center and be able to configure, monitor, find any alerts and alarms that are there with any of the sites that are happening. Of course, there's a overall dashboard view, so you can manage all of your clients in an organizational multi-tenant level with individual sites. So the cool thing is that you can divide up. You may have, let's say, a retail chain that you've been working with. They would be customer organization number 1, and they may have like 15 sites. So underneath them, you'll see 15 other sites that you're managing that have independent or overall view. So you can have an overall view of everything within the organization, or you can then drill in and see what the individual sites have, the ability to do. So you can check all that out and see, a dashboard of what your bandwidth utilization is, how much power you're drawing on all of your PoE, your WAN throughputs, traffic summary information, where people are going, what sites are being there, who's using the most bandwidth, where all that or where all those networks are coming from. So you can also get to see what kind of devices are connected as well. So this is a great tool if you're looking to do managing or troubleshooting of a network. You can actually see their signal strengths if they're connected to Wi-Fi, and see, hey, they're at a area where it's really low signal. We need to put an access point there, or depending on what kind of devices they're using, you can use that again for information on how to improve the network connectivity and the user's experience in that network. So you get a visibility of all that. You can use this information to further your network. So you can see all that, and you can drill in and do some more analysis information of where, either the traffic's being used and how they're utilizing it. And again, that information is really helpful for you. It gives you network insights on utilization as well for PoE, how your ports are being used, where you've installed them, and also be able to manage power cycle ports. You can do ping testings through this interface to get information for troubleshooting. You can reboot the devices, but again, it gives you a bird's eye view and gives you drilled in specific view of what's going on that network as well, for both troubleshooting and just to see configurations and things like that. So really, cloud and Nebula, I think, has been the future, and it's already here. but I think it's going to continue to grow in the future as well. So we encourage you to do that, especially when the USG Flex goes to Nebula. That's going to be the continued trend. We'll continue to put more and more products within the cloud, because we believe that's where the easiest for management, for provisioning, for implementation and installation of products is going to happen. And it's free. So we do offer a free level of Nebula. And but then for you as partners, I would say you want to be able to use the Flex functionality and get to the basically the professional versions for those sites. Now, of course, you can switch it off. The cool thing is you may have a customer who doesn't need all of the bells and whistles, doesn't need the cloning, just needs the provisioning and some monitoring and information on the network on a lower tiered service plan. You can use the free functionality there in Nebula and provide that to that customer and that organization. You can then license other customers who want maybe the higher tier of services. You want to be able to clone their sites. You want to be able to have advanced monitoring functionalities, or be able to use higher end features that we have. You can then jump to the Nebula Flex Pro licensing, and that gives you access to then all of the business MSP type functions within Nebula. Gives you also a larger range, of logs and things like that. The free version is usually like a 7-day log, whereas the Nebula Flex Pro version is a whole year's worth of logs. So that's one of the main differences of it, besides cloning and features. But we have a whole list. If you're looking for a battle card on how, what's the differences between them, or what comes in the Pro side of things, we have battle cards and we have information brochures that you can request from our sales team that will explain to you kind of what are the differences between that and why and when you want to use it. But ultimately, it's about how much do you want to manage, how much do you want view of, things like that. Network visualized, it can detect what's connected to what based on some network visualization. Automatic VPN topology as well to provide you throughput information. Gives you kind of a network diagram and see what's going on. In the Pro version, you also get things like IPTV information for broadcasting IPTV, multicast support control, monitor reports on different channels, and give reporting on those, automatically optimize them as well for the IPTV, and advanced reporting options. You can see some of these reporting options here, where it can tell you an instant view of how many channels are active being used or over the last 30 days. So really this information is great for if you're working with a hotel or somebody who's providing IPTV services, that you can see what channels are actually being used and be able to use that as information in either channel purchasing or or which subscription services that you have for the IPTV. So that's really helpful with that. And of course, we've enhanced some of the IGMP functionalities and multicast functionalities in those devices for that. So that's kind of the Nebula cloud side. We're going to quickly jump into Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is obviously everybody's network. Everybody uses Wi-Fi, and we want flexible connectivity. We want to have it convenient. We want it to be secure, and we want it to be available wherever we sit and where we go. So really, it's all about not necessarily like higher throughput these days, because a lot of the Wi-Fi networks are already maxed out anyways in terms of the WAN connectivity. It's already beyond the WAN. But now having connectivity and having consistent connectivity, that's really the big deal, and worrying about that kind of performance. So what issues do we run into? A lot of times it's, hey, I see 5 bars on my wireless device, but why can I not pass any traffic? This is terrible Wi-Fi. And we have all had that experience, like this Wi-Fi stinks. And so you end up either going somewhere else, you end up going to even a different hotel, you go to, those are the kind of the consequences of that. So we need to understand like how Wi-Fi works. So what is really the issue? In order to achieve higher speeds, higher bandwidths that we're using today, we have this demand for performance. And what's that causing is, in order to get the performance, you actually have to use more bandwidth of the wireless signal. So the pipe is only so big, but in order to get bigger, you have to use more of the channels. And so that causes an issue where you are introducing what we call co-channel interference, meaning that the more devices are using more channels of that is causing more collisions, more information is colliding and being more inefficient. So basically, let's take a look on how smart antenna technology works and how it helps to mitigate this. So in this example, here's Wi-Fi with the normal antenna that you're used to. It's just an omnidirectional. It provides you wireless, and nothing's wrong with that. But let's say you have some adjacent devices, maybe even non-Wi-Fi devices that are providing interference to the network. That may cause some what we call co-channel interference, or actually just interference overall. And the devices are then having trouble to make connectivity. Now, with smart antenna technology, what it does is actually it uses band, basically like a not a band steering. It is actually using a smart antenna ability to intelligently look for an optimized antenna pattern digitally, and be able to focus in its listening, its transmit and receive to what's best for the client, and mitigating the actual interference itself. So my example or my analogy is I cup my fingers here, I can listen to you better, but also I can speak to louder when I cup my fingers if you're in front of me, right? So I can hear better for you, towards you, and I can speak to you better while mitigating interference. Maybe I can't hear as well behind me because I have my ears listening forward. And so that's what it does. And even if you are um, uh, like roaming, the patterns will change as necessary and cycle through to find kind of the best patterns to optimize for that, to prevent that co-channel interference. So co-channel interference is like a collision of two motorways, two highways coming together with no merging, no information. It's just everybody's trying to go, hey, it's maybe, I guess another analogy would be like a bird's nest. Every baby bird is trying to get mama to feed them, right? And she can only pick and choose one at a time to feed. So that's that's pretty much Wi-Fi. And the more devices you have, everybody's competing for that same space. So there's less channels that are available. All of that traffic is getting collided, and then it has to retry again. So smart antennas ability is it increases the capacity of the entire network. You can have more devices and be able to reduce interference. You can therefore increase coverage and do it in a very efficient way, both on 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. So that was just kind of another explanation. But we've designed our wireless for the ultimate user experience. That's why it's backed by our lifetime warranty, because of the robust hardware that we use, the shielding that we use, that also protects the wireless chips themselves and also the antennas from causing interference. Also, the backplating prevents it also to get interfered by other devices, because in an office today, for a fact, there's rarely just a single access point. There's either multiple access points for that office itself, as well as everybody's office that it can see that has a Wi-Fi connection. So you tend to see, 10, 15 access points in any given area. And that doesn't even account for the devices that are in that network as well, also causing Wi-Fi competition, Wi-Fi interference. So again, that's really the reason that a smart antenna technology is very important if you want to mitigate that. But of course, we have products that are inside and outside of that smart antenna technology. The smart antenna patented technology is in our high tier smart antenna devices, but we do offer a wide range of products that are both used standalone and can be flexed into the cloud, both as a free version or as a higher end paid version. Now, the Nebula Cloud also includes hotspot functionalities too. So if you want to do like guest network access or terms of service page, or portal redirects to like an offloaded central login site, you can do that as well and be able to control access within in the Nebula Cloud. So again, a wide range of technologies, 2x2, 3x3s. If you want, IPv wireless 5 or wireless 6 technologies, we have products there in different form factors for the in-room or even outdoor devices and things like that. So I'm going to skip through, more quickly here. That's just kind of the portfolio. Just know we do have a lot of things, and in our Wi-Fi 6 portfolio, this is our range of products here. So our flagship is our WAX650S that provides you not only smart antenna technology, but the latest in Wi-Fi 6 technology, able to push quite a bit. The LAN speed is 5 gigs and 1 gig ports as well. So really about high performance, high throughput. Wi-Fi 6 is really the way to go if you're looking at that. We did do a Wi-Fi 6 a webinar. If you're interested in that, we have that recorded, and to find out more about specifically why to use Wi-Fi 6. We want to start, David says, wants to start selling Nebula as a service. Can I speak to my sales rep regarding demo? Yeah, absolutely. Speak to your sales rep. We have demo units for that, for the Nebula capable wireless access points. So definitely talk to them about that. It is but also don't forget to, we have Nebula controlled switching, which is what I'm going to be talking about today as well. So at the core of every network is the switch network, and it's very important to make sure that that is secure, that is properly put together and what you're using. So at a high level, I want you to understand kind of the naming conventions we use here at Zyxel. ES just stands for Ethernet switch, so that's a 10100 type switch. GS, which is most of the models you'll see today, is our gigabit port switches. So it's gigabit switch. Our XS switches are basically 10 gig or multi-gig ports. So they are capable of 10 gig uplinks, but typically they have both mixtures of 10 gig and multi-gig, so 2.5, 5 gig and 10 gig ports. Our XGS is at the core a gigabit switch, so all of the major ports are gigabit with an X, which is our 10 gig uplink. So X is just the Roman numeral for 10. So that's how that is named. You'll see some a new switch that's coming out this year that's going to be called an MS switch. So that's going to be our new line of multi-gig switches. So it's a multi-gig, being able to do 2.4, 2.55, and 10 gig options as well. If it ends in a P or an HP, then that means it's a PoE switch. So it has either power over Ethernet functionalities. If it has an F at the end, it means it's a fiber switch where all the ports are fiber. We have combo ports that are there. So make sure if you're looking at it and you see a combo port, the combo ports will be labeled the same number. So here, this will be port number 9, both on a copper and a fiber. So you can only use one or the other. You cannot use both at the same time. That's what the combo ports do. And some of them may have fiber uplinks with SFP, which is gigabit transceivers, or SFP plus, with is 10 gig transceiver fiber. So you'll have to have the appropriate transceivers for the type of fiber you use, also for the links. So we also carry those accessories as well. If you're looking to do switch stacking, certain models have that capability. You'll have LED numbers that will tell you what it is in that stack. You can use a direct attached cable. These are basically pre-made 10 gig fiber with the transceivers already on the end, and you can use those as uplink direct attached cables between switches to make that 10 gig connectivity. And of course, a lot of our products have that functions already in it. And the ones that have PoE, we provide different classes of that. 802.3 AT is the 15.4 watt. That's pretty much their old technology. We don't have switches that use that anymore. We only have switches that can be backwards compatible to it, but can push up to 30 watts. So the 802.3 AT is what you'll see in our products today. We have products that are coming, or already have some products available that use the new PoE++. That is the ultra PoE technology that can push up to 60 watts. So that's really for like high-end pan tilt zoom, or even desktop type terminals, computers that are using up to 60 watts of power. So we could power that over the Ethernet. So power over Ethernet is probably the biggest application of switches today, because it provides for power to access points, to now lighting systems, to security door entry panels. A lot of things are being powered by PoE because there's a convenience of being able to do that over an Ethernet cable and that kind of wiring. So what we provide that's different is intelligent PoE management. We are able to detect and allocate the actual utilization, the actual draw of the device, and put that against the budget rather than classifying it. So that actually makes it very efficient on that. It reserves the actual power. You can actually schedule the power as well. So you can turn off access points. You can schedule things to reboot with our switches, to maybe even shut down wireless access outside of business hours, things like that. You have the ability to schedule those things with our managed switches. So here's an example of how allocated PoE and intelligent PoE works. In classification mode, this VoIP device may just use, let's say, 15.4 watts, but its actual draw is 9 watts. So if you're going to power up 24, it's going to eat up the budget. But in this case, in this example, if you have a switch that has 375 watts here, it's more than enough. But what if you have a device that actually is classified higher? So here we have an IP camera that is classified to use 30 watts, but its actual draw is only 16 watts. So if you were using a classification mode and you wanted to power up just 20 of these cameras, you're going to need something that has 600 watts of power, which is most switches won't have that, or you're just going to have to pay very high amount of money to just get something that has that PoE, which actually you don't even use. In consumption mode in an intelligent PoE, in Zyxel's mode here, we use the 16 watt number as the actual draw because that's what it's actually pulling, and we put that against the budget. So for 20 devices here, you're going to see a consumption of actually 320 watts, which is well within the 375 watts capable of this switch. So again, you're saving money on there, you're saving power, you're saving the ability or having to not get a higher, device just for to allocate for no use. So we have a wide array of different PoE switches, both managed, unmanaged, and again, also cloud managed as well, with different ranges of wattage and device. This one has a high availability, dual power supply function there. This is probably where most of your small business applications will be utilizing our GS 1920 series and our XGS 1930s and our XS 1930 series. These are all of our smart web managed and also Nebula capable switches. So you can put these in standalone mode and use them as your traditional switch, or you can flip them into Nebula and use them in the free mode, or you can add the professional that gives you the cloning, gives you some of the extra functionality features that are available within the Nebula cloud. And they can provide with and without PoE, anywhere between 8 ports all the way up to 48 ports of switching. So really going to cover a lot of things. The XGS gives you 10 gig uplinks. The XS 1930s gives you all ports, PoE plus, as well as multi-gig capable ports. Up to even 10 gig. So this is the one you would use. The XS 1930s would pair well if you're looking to deploy Wi-Fi 6, because some of the higher end access points actually have 2.5 and 5 gig capable ports because of the bandwidth that it's pushing. So if you want to maximize that, as well as provide enough power to Wi-Fi 6 on some of those devices, you need to get to that PoE++, that ultra PoE functionality in that. So you can see these ones, the 24 ports, they use 375 watts on the budget, but a 12 port PoE switch, which is an 8 port PoE, also is using 375 watts. So you can see we have that extra power budget just for this because it is needed in a lot of cases if you're deploying Wi-Fi 6. So it's very important to make sure that you have the appropriate power. We have surge protections. We have cooling fans that are smart fans. We have displays that tell you if it's in the cloud or not, how it's connected, and be able to actually do restores. There's a lot of features and functions that you definitely can make use of. This is our multi-gig switch, our XS 1930s that provide 10 gig over Cat 5e and Cat 6. If you want to go the maximum distance for 10 gig at 100 meters, you need a Cat 6A cable run. But otherwise, if you're just looking at maybe a 10 meg or 100 meters at Cat 5e, you can go 5 gigs at that. So again, you have the flexibility to be able to move that. So this is our XS 1930 series, providing up to 60 watts of PoE power per port with a 375 watt bandwidth consumption bandwidth budget, or sorry, power budget. So last on the list, again, I think we made it through here. Last thing is our partner program. If you have not signed up to our partner program, we have a very aggressive partner program. It's free to sign up. You immediately start at the silver tier, which gives you double-digit margin through distribution discounts. So you can see that effective right away. The only thing is that the only requirement is you maintain a 6K in qualifying sales over that half year period. So basically 1K a month, if you can maintain that, you will maintain this tier. Otherwise, you will end up going down to the bronze tier. But what we really have is a lot of partners are able to move to the gold tier. If you're able to do 2K per month in sales, which literally is like 3 firewalls and not even a full-on solution. If you have one project per month, you'll be like well over this already. So the gold tier gives you the maximum discounts available, gives you access to a lot of lead referrals, system engineer access, advanced replacements. But all of you still have things like deal registration, free tech support with our US-based tech support. If you all have your dedicated account managers that you can talk to at any time. And we work through DNH, Ingram Micro, Synnex, Wave for all of your product needs. And of course, if you have any, if you're working with a specific distributor and they don't have the units in stock for some reason, contact your sales rep. Always keep them in the loop, because we may have stuff in our warehouse that we can direct ship to you. We can drop ship it to you if necessary, or give you kind of the information on where it needs to go. So really, we look forward to being a partner with you. So at this time, we have pretty much no time left. Thank you for your hour of time. I know your time is precious, and being able to talk to you and provide you some information is really my pleasure. And hopefully it was helpful to you. If you have any questions that I couldn't answer or haven't answered yet, or maybe as you're thinking about these solutions, or maybe you have some applications that you want us to come on board with, reach out to your sales rep, or also reach out to me. My email is try@zyxel.com. I'd love to be able to point you in the right direction or answer some questions. Or if you have any topics that you would like to hear more about. And we are also working on different tech talks throughout the months in this coming year. And we want to provide you information that is helpful to you, helpful to how to sell certain solutions, maybe how to solve certain application solutions and then things like that. What does Zyxel have? Let me know, send me an email, and I would love to get that information to you and help you out. So if that's it, yeah, just feel free to reach out to us. Again, thank you so much for your time. We'll look forward to seeing you at another session of Tech Talk, this month. We have a couple more sessions that are coming this month already scheduled. So just check it out, and check out your partner site and the webinars that are upcoming, and sign up for those. So we'll see you again. Again, my name is Tri Nguyen. I am the market development manager, product manager here at Zyxel US. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and look forward to being your networking ally. So thank you so much, and we'll see you again next time. Take care. Stay safe.